So again, these are shorter lessons that we have been doing this week, about 30 minutes. Next week, it's going to be 2 one-hour lessons that you're going to be getting on Mondays and Wednesdays. So here we go. Today's lesson, Mouse 1, Chapter 3, Part 1. So we are going to read first pages 41 through 51 of the book, and then we'll come back and there are only 2 questions today and a chart. So not too much at all. Shouldn't take us long. All right, pages 41 through 51. Let me open this link. All right, and we are going to scroll down. You are looking at the bottom of the PDF where these numbers are, not at the top of Adobe Reader, on the actual PDF, and we're going to go to Chapter 3. Okay, it stops right here. Okay. All right, you guys can see my screen, right? Yes, no, somebody talk to me. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, if I'm lagging, I don't know whose connection it is. It might be mine or yours, but hopefully it'll stabilize and hopefully it'll fix itself. Here we go, Chapter 3. So we just yesterday, as a very, very quick review of not everything, Anya and Vladek leave the mental health hospital where she has been rehabilitated from depression. They come home, and what did somebody tell me, either out loud or in the chat, what did they find out about their business, about their factory? Either out loud or in the chat. Somebody talk to me. What happens to their factory when they get home from the mental health hospital? Yes, thank you so much. Yes, it got robbed. They found out that they were robbed, but the father-in-law is like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. I have plenty of money. I'll get you guys back on your feet. So all of that is happening. And then at the very end of that chapter, we find out that Vladek has been drafted to go into the war against the Germans. So he is going to fight in the war. And he sends his wife, Anya, and their small son, Raichu, off to Sosnowiec, which is where he used to be from, his old city, his old neighborhood. He sends them off so he can go fight in the war. And this Chapter 3 is about where we're going to pick off. It's called Prisoner of War because we're going to finish it during the wartime. All right, so here we go. Prisoner of War, Chapter 3. This is Artie talking in the present time. I visited my father more often in order to get more information about his past. Have some green beans, Artie. Yes, look, you don't eat anything. No thanks, I've had enough. So finish at least what's on your plate. Okay. You know, Mala, when I was little, if I didn't eat everything Mom served, Pop and I would argue until I ran to my room crying. You should know it's impossible to argue with your father. Well, Mom would offer to cook something I liked better, but Pop just wanted to leave the leftover food around until I ate it. Sometimes he would even save it to serve again and again until I eat or starve. Yes, so it has to be. Always you must eat all of what is on your plate. Ugh, Vladek. Let's pause there for a second. Anybody in here, tell me either on the chat or out loud, your parents, like if you don't eat what they gave you, like that's it, like you don't get anything else? Anybody have that experience?
I can whatever I want.
No? Not at all?
My mom doesn't cook, so.
I'm seeing some yes.
No one in my house normally cooks.
Nobody in your house cooks. Nice. My parents were very much like that. My mom made dinner and she was like, if you're not going to eat it, then you either make yourself your own dinner, but I'm not making you like a second dinner. But I know some people are like, you have to eat what I give you. So that seems to be Artie's experience growing up. But why do you think Vladek, his dad, knowing what we know about him being in the Holocaust and going through World War II, why do you think he is so indignant about this? Always you must eat everything that is on your plate. Why do you guys think he is so indignant about the fact that you have to eat everything on your plate, knowing what we know about what he's been through in life? Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I mean, you guys are putting, because you have to eat what they give you, not to waste food. Yeah. Nyla's been the closest here because maybe when he was in the war, he starved. Yeah, no, I want you to specifically think about what you know about the Holocaust in World War II, right? What the Jews had to go through. So we can assume, yeah, that he probably was starved and didn't get very much food in the war and in the Holocaust. So yeah, any food that he's given, he takes very seriously and wants them to be grateful for what he has. All right, let's scroll down to page 44. We're going to pick up from here. Fortunately for me, Mom would eventually feed me something I liked and throw away the old food while you weren't looking. Yes, Anya was too easy with you always. That's his dad talking. Thanks for the dinner, Mala. It was delicious. Huh, the chicken was, I thought, too dry. Come, we'll talk better in the living room. Okay, I'll get my notebook. I tell you, with Mala, I don't know what to do. Please, Pop, I'd rather not hear all that again. Tell me about 1939 when you were drafted. So remember, Mala is his dad's second wife. We already know that his mom, Anya, who we've been learning about, she committed suicide. That tells us that at the beginning of the novel. So Mala is his second wife, his dad's second wife. All right, bottom of 44. 1939. Yes, we were given army trainings for a few days, and then by the start of September, we were on the frontier. We were all digged into trenches near a river. On the other side, it was Germans. It was everything quiet until near morning. Wait a minute. They only trained you for a few days before sending you into combat? Well, the first time I went into the army for 18 months when I was 21, and then every 4 years, I went to Lublin for a month to train. You know, my father tried to keep all his children out from the army because when he was young, he had then to go into the Russian army, and there they took you for 25 years to Siberia. My father pulled out 14 of his teeth to escape. If you missed 12 teeth, they let you go. So Vladek is telling Artie that his dad, Artie's grandpa, used to like pull out his own teeth so he wouldn't have to go to war. So people would do some pretty drastic things to try to avoid the draft back then. I'm hearing a little bit of an echo. If you think that it's you, go ahead and put yourself on mute, please. So when my brother Marcus got 21 years, father put him on a starvation diet. Always Marcus was sickly, so thin. And when he went for the army examination, they didn't take him. A year later, when it came my turn, father wanted to make to me the same thing. It was something terrible. 3 months before the examination, he started with me. Wake up, Vladek, you're sleeping too much. Only 3 hours a night? Stop, Vladek, you mustn't eat so much. But I'm hungry. Okay, we'll have one more herring. All right, I'm gonna put you guys on mute because I can't hear. Hold on. All right, let me go back. Okay. Stop, Vladek, you mustn't eat so much. But I'm hungry. Okay, have one more herring. For 3 months, I ate only salted herring and no water to lose weight. And a few days before the exam, no sleep, no food. Good boy, just a little more coffee. Only a gallon of coffee a day for my heart. And when finally I went for my medical examination, here's a healthy one. And we noticed that he's not very healthy looking. He actually looks very sick, so they must have been desperate for people. No, there seems to be something wrong with him. Build yourself up for a year, young man, and then we'll review your case again. So again, his dad is starving him. His dad isn't letting him sleep. He's making him really sick because he doesn't want him to get drafted into the army, into the war. Page 47. The next year, father wanted that I would again do the same thing, but I begged him and went in 1922 to the army. But let's get back to 1939. Yes, you see how you mix me up? In 1939, we were on the frontier, digged into trenches by a river. It was quiet until near morning, and then I heard shooting on both sides. An officer sneaked over to me. Dig in deeper, you'll get killed. Your gun is cold, why aren't you shooting? I didn't see what to shoot, but I dig deeper and I started to shoot. Then bullets came in my direction. I dug deeper in my trench, but I stopped to shoot. Why should I kill anyone? But when I looked in my gun, I saw a tree, and the tree was actually moving. I must be seeing things. How can a tree run? Aha! And we see this guy is using a tree as camouflage. It held up a hand to show that it was hurt, to surrender. But I kept shooting and shooting until finally the tree stopped moving. Who knows? Otherwise, he could have shot me. After 2 hours of fighting, the Nazis overcame our side of the river. Get up. You'll notice that from like the whiskers that, again, the Nazis are being portrayed as cats here, and he's a mouse. He's still a Jew here. And they're saying that the Nazis have won this part of the war. Give me your gun. It's hot. You were shooting at us. My commander made me shoot. I only fired in the air. I answered in German, and his partner stopped him from beating me. They marched me to where it was more like me, war prisoners. And all from us weren't injured. They marched over to their side of the river to look for more dead soldiers. Attention, all prisoners will carry our dead and wounded to the waiting Red Cross trucks. You, where do you think you're going? I thought I saw a body over by the river. I knew where the one I shot should be laying. Yes, here. And I don't know how to pronounce this in German, but his blood ran out. Carry him over to the truck with the others. His name was Jan, and I knew that I killed him. And I said to myself, well, at least I did something. They took us to a place where Nuremberg, where it was many war prisoners. The Jews, they made stand separate. It is all your fault, this war. We should hang you right here on the spot. Of course, nobody of us said a word. Put down all of your valuables. He came up to me. I had maybe 300 zlotys. Why so much money, Jew? Many others had only 5 or 6 zlotys. Do you expect to do some business here? Show me your hands. You never worked a day in your life. Like you, Artie, my hands were always very delicate. Well, Jew, don't worry. We'll find work for you. And they did. That is where we are going to stop for today. So let's go back to our questions. We're going to finish the rest of chapter 3 on Monday. Okay, question number 1, guys, multiple choice here. What does the following quote from Vladek reveal about his character? Finish at least what's on your plate. And we went over this earlier. So we have A, Anya was a lenient mother. B, Anya did not cook well and she gave large servings. C, Vladek was a strict father who does not like waste. D, Vladek is traumatized from his experiences during the Holocaust. Go ahead and either, I have you guys all on mute right now. Go ahead and put it into the chat for me. I'm seeing mostly of 1, a little bit tied between C and D. Okay. Okay, guys, just like we talked about earlier here, normal, if it would be just anybody else's dad telling you to finish what's on your plate, then it very well could be C, that Vladek was a strict father who did not like waste, right? But D, we can infer that this is the answer because he is traumatized from his experiences during the Holocaust. We know that he's probably telling Artie to finish everything on his plate because he went through a lot of serious stuff in the war and probably didn't have a lot of food in wartime. So it's extra important for him that everybody eat what's on their plate because he might not have had a lot on his plate back then. So if we're looking for a justification, you're probably not going to see it right at the beginning here. This is kind of where I want you to look for this text evidence here, because remember, especially when his dad was kind of starving him, right, to make it so that he could avoid the war. We know that this experience where his dad starved him, Artie's grandpa, and starved Vladek, we can assume that that probably impacted him wanting to make sure that Artie always eats what's on his plate because his dad starved him, right, to try to get him out of the war. So I want you to find a piece of text evidence from this page 46 here. Probably 46 is going to be the best. So again, looking for justification that he's traumatized from his experiences and that's why he wants Artie to finish everything on his plate. Go to page 46 to find a piece of text evidence to prove where he might have been traumatized. Why does he always want Artie to finish everything that's on his plate? You can kind of put yourself in his shoes. It would make more sense if your mom was always telling you to finish everything on your plate, but you found out that her mom starved her for whatever reason when they were kids, it would make sense that it would be important to your mom that you eat everything on your plate. And that's kind of what's going on here. All right, we're going to move on to question number 2 here. Why was Vladek's father so reluctant to let him serve in the Polish army? That means like hesitant, like he didn't want him to go serve in the army. How did he keep him out for 1 year? Use the race strategy to respond. So again, you're going to go back to this whole section here. It goes from about page 45, 45 and 46 is where we see most of that. Yeah. So 45 and 46, we're going to see the answer to this question. Why was his father so reluctant to let him serve in the army? And how did his dad keep him out of the army for 1 year? So you're going to use the race strategy. You're going to restate the question. Vladek's father is reluctant to let him serve because, and then give me your answer as the A. C, in the text it says, and then you're going to go find a quote from these pages, either 45 or 46. And then E, this shows or this means. Why did his father not want him serving in the army, and how does he keep him out for a year? Let's hang out about 2 minutes on question number 2. And if you want to put your race strategy into the chat, I will give you feedback and tell you what you need to fix or if you're all good to go. Let me take a look at these chats here. Yeah, a lot of you guys had great text evidence. Jayla, Edixon, Ayana, Nyla. Yeah, you guys have great text evidence for number 1. Let me read Amari's race strategy. Yes, Amari, that is such a great answer. Good Lord, that's like as if I wrote it myself. Beautiful job on that. Who else has a race strategy for me they want to put in? Hey guys, just so you know, when you put stuff into the chat, it only goes to me. Everybody else can't see it. I have the chat set to private. So don't be afraid to put your answers in the chat because all the other students won't see it. I'll be the only one that sees it. And then I can, tell you what you need to fix or what you did well. We're going to hang out 1 more minute here for anybody that wants to put their race strategy into the chat. Yeah, so the race strategy, let me share my screen again. That race strategy for number 2, remember R is restate the question. So if the question is asking you, why was Vladek's father so reluctant to let him serve in the Polish army? Your R is going to be, Vladek's father is reluctant to let him serve because, and then give me your A, your answer for race strategy. Why is he reluctant to let him serve? And that's in your own words. Why does he not want his son to go into the Polish army? And how does he keep him out for a year? And then C is going to be in the text, it says, and you're going to go back to these pages 45 and 46 to go find your text evidence. And then E, this shows or this means, and that's you guys explaining to me how your text evidence gives you the right answer. Yeah, Neely, that's a good piece of evidence to show what his father was doing to him to keep him out of the army. Yeah, Anthony, that's good. Make sure you have a this shows or this means at the end to explain that text evidence. But yeah, great job. Yeah, for those of you, you're welcome. Yeah, for those of you asking for help, you're just going to answer the question in your own words. Give me a piece of text evidence and then explain the text evidence. So it's going to be about 3 sentences. Yes, Edixon, great job. Yes, Jayla, good job. All right, again, you cannot copy anybody else's answer. Nyla, great job. You can't copy anybody else's answer, but I do want to read Amari's out just because it was, I mean, some of y'all had really great ones, but Amari's is like key. It's like exactly what I'm looking for here. The reason Vladik's father is reluctant to let him serve in the army is because when he was young, he had to go into the Russian army for 25 years. The text states, you know, my father tried to keep all of his children out of the army. This means that his father didn't want his kids to go through the same thing that he did. Yeah, so a big part of that is his dad really suffered in the military and the army. He didn't want his kids to go through that. Amari went and found a piece of text evidence to prove it. And then this shows that he doesn't want his kids to kind of have that same horrible experience that he did, which is why he's starving them. It's why he's not letting them sleep. Great job with that. All right, guys. Let's look at the chart because the chart is probably the most confusing part of this. And so I wanted to go through this together. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to have questions about this if they do it on their own. So it's probably good that you guys are on the Zoom call with me so that you can ask questions right now. This whole chart is about conflict. I'm going to unmute you guys for a second. All right, who can tell me just out loud real quick, what is conflict?
A problem.
Yeah, Neely, yeah, it's a problem. What else?
Fight.
What was that?
Fight over something.
It's something that's going on in the story, like the fight. It's like a conflict between you and another person.
Okay, it could be like a problem between that character and another person. Nyla, what were you gonna say?
I just said the problem.
The problem, yeah, okay. So, yeah, guys, if I'm talking about the conflict, it's some sort of problem. It's usually between people, but it can be also between like an organization. So I'll show you. So Vladik definitely has his like problems or conflicts with Anya that we're going to look at, but also with the government and other authority figures. So that's what we're going to look at today. So conflict doesn't have to just be with a person. It can be also, you can have a problem with a group or an organization. So Vladik is Artie's dad. Remember, he's kind of our main character of the story. And we're going to describe his conflicts. I did the first one for you, so you don't need to do anything with the first 2 boxes. So it's the description of his conflict with Anya. There's one. Anya is involved with the communist conspirators and never tells Vladik until she almost gets arrested. This is from the whole book so far that you guys are doing this chart, not just today's reading. So we found that earlier in the book. That's his conflict with her. He is really angry with her for translating those German messages to communists. And then his personality revealed. So basically, because of this conflict, what does this tell us about who he is as a person and his personality? So I put, he could be described as firm and commanding since he threatens to break off the marriage until she stops helping the communists. So this is the personality traits here that I put in yellow. This is how you would describe him and the explanation. He's firm and commanding because he threatens to break off their marriage unless she stops doing this and helping the communists. So conflict, and then what does it tell you about the personality of the character? So the conflict here, and again, conflict doesn't have to mean he's angry, right? The conflict here, she becomes mentally ill. And depressed, right? So the conflict here isn't him being angry with her, it's that he has a problem now, right? Like his wife is depressed. That's now a conflict in his life, a problem in his life. So when she becomes mentally ill, when she's suffering from depression, what does it show us about his personality? And then explain that to me in the second box. I'll give you guys a minute or so. You don't have to do text evidence. This is just in your own words. So because of that conflict or problem that she is feeling depressed, and that obviously causes a problem for him, how would you describe his personality and how he deals with her depression? I know this is tricky, so we're going to work through it. Think back in the text. What do they do? How does he help deal with her depression? And what does that tell us about who he is as a husband and who he is as a person? You're going to put it in this box right here that I have highlighted. Whoops. So the conflict or problem they're having is that Anya is depressed. What does that tell us about his personality and the way that he deals with her depression? What do they do to deal with her depression? And what does that tell us about him as a character? Is he really mean and aggressive to her because of that? Does he take her to go get help? And then what would that tell us about who he is? Does he ignore it? So think back in the text. What do they do to solve her depression? And again, what does that tell us about his personality? Yes, Jefferson, great answer. Yes, Nyla, great job. Sierra, you might have to go back and like reread that part of the text again from the other day to help you with this. When she's depressed, what do they decide to do about it? And then how does that, how would you describe him and his personality based on what he does to take care of her depression? It's going to be earlier in the novel, back pages 32 through 36. Those 4 or 5 pages right there. 32 through 36 is where that was, way back earlier. (32 through 36). Yes, Jayla, great job. Edixon, great job. All right, guys, I know some of you are still working on that one. I want to go over the last box for those of you who are working ahead. So the last one, you're going to fill out the whole thing. So we know that Vladek has an issue with the government and other authority. So other authority could be the Nazis. It could be doctors. There's a lot of authority figures. The police that we've seen were different parts throughout this whole novel so far. He's had some conflicts with. So again, when I say government or other authority, it could be doctors, police, the Nazis, the current government, any of that. And you're going to pick 2 of those to put in the left side boxes here. So who were the conflicts with? You're going to tell me about that on the left side. And then based on that, how would you describe him? That's on the right side. So if you're talking about his issue with doctors on the left side, the right side, what does that tell us about his personality? If you're putting on the left side that he has a conflict with the Nazis, then on the right side, what does that tell us about his personality? And again, this is all in your own words, so you do not need to go find text evidence for this chart. Yes. Yeah, Jefferson. That's good. So if you want to put those 2 as the 2 on the left side, Jefferson, that'll work. You need 2 different conflicts that he has with government or other authority figures. And then the right side, what does that tell us about his personality? All right, guys, that is the end of the lesson that I have for today. Obviously, some of you are still working and you want to get your answers checked, and that's perfectly great. I have been logging and screenshotting who has been participating in the chat and who's been participating out loud. If you logged on and you did not participate at all yet, you are not going to get credit for today. So if I were you, what I would do is I would stay on the call and I would use the chat feature to ask me about a couple of things right now if you want to get your extra credit for today. Because if I haven't heard from you at all in the chat or otherwise, you're not going to get the extra credit for signing on. It's 11:35. I'm going to hang out until 11:45 and answer any questions in the chat that anybody has. If you want to copy and paste your answers from the chart into the chat, then I will tell you how you're doing and I will answer those. I'm going to leave you guys muted for now so that people can focus. I'll unmute you at the end of the call. But if you are completely done and you want to sign off, you may. Tomorrow we are doing the joint Zoom session at 11 o'clock with Ms. Bednar, Mr. L, and Ms. Cheeseman, but I'm not doing my own personal one tomorrow. There's going to be no actual lesson plan work posted tomorrow for ELA. And then Monday and Wednesday from 1 to 2 for the rest of the quarter, or as long as we're out, is going to be my Zoom times. Bye, Light, and have a good day. Yes, Nyla. So those two things that you put, Nyla, are going to be the two boxes on the left side and then the two boxes on the right side. What do each of those tell us about his personality? Okay, Amanda, thank you for letting me know. Neely, if you're done, you can go. Edixon, that Fun Friday call is going to be tomorrow, 11 to 12. Bye, Neely. Have a good day. Bye, Alicia. Bye, Ian. Have a good day. Nyla, let me show you which boxes I'm talking about. So the two things that you just mentioned, the two things that he has a problem with, a conflict with, you're going to put each one on the left side here. And then on the right side is where you're going to tell me, because he has a problem with this, what does that tell us about his personality? And because he has a problem with this government or authority figure, what does it tell me about his personality? So those two things you mentioned, put them on the left side, and then describe his personality to me based on that conflict on the right side, just like we did with the top part. Cool, awesome. Eric, I'm not posting a lesson tomorrow. We're only supposed to be posting 2 hours worth of work a week for you guys. So I've been doing 30-minute lessons Monday through Thursday. So there is no lesson plan tomorrow on Friday. We're letting people catch up who need to catch up. We're just doing our Fun Friday lesson with the math teachers. Bye, Anthony. Have a good day. Anybody else need to copy and paste in their answers from the chat? Now is the time to, from the chart. Now's the time to do it, y'all. So I can check your answers. Bye, Amari. Bye, Eric. Tavana, if you had a question about yesterday's work, I'll hang on to the call. And you can either message me in the chat or I'll unmute you guys in a minute and you can ask me about yesterday's work. Jason, yeah, that's going to be one of your left side pieces on the chart. But then what is that? Because he has a conflict with that group of people, on the right side, you're going to put in the chart, what does that tell me about his personality? Yes, Edixon, great job. If you're doing the doctor's one, it's going to be, it was the end of the last chapter that we just read. So pages 39 and 40, if you're doing the doctor's one.